The New York Yankees may have just received the kind of news every fan in the Bronx was terrified of hearing. What started as an ordinary night against the Baltimore Orioles suddenly turned into a moment of panic, concern, and uncertainty after ace left-hander Max Fried exited the game early with elbow soreness, and now the entire Yankees season could be facing a massive question mark depending on what happens next. Coming into this game, Fried had been nothing short of spectacular for the Yankees. Ever since arriving in New York on that massive 8-year, $218 million contract, expectations were already sky high. Fans knew the Yankees were bringing in one of the most reliable and dominant left-handed pitchers in baseball, but even with those expectations, Fried somehow managed to exceed them during the early part of the season. At a time when the Yankees desperately needed stability in the rotation, he stepped forward as the unquestioned ace of the staff. With injuries already affecting key starters and pressure building around the organization, Fried became the calming presence the Yankees needed every fifth day. Every time he took the mound, fans felt confident the team had a real chance to win. That confidence is exactly why Wednesday night became so frightening for Yankees fans everywhere. The game against the Orioles did not begin the way Fried usually performs. From the very first inning, something seemed slightly off. His command did not look as sharp, his pitches lacked their usual movement, and Baltimore hitters were making solid contact much earlier than expected. Normally, Fried is known for frustrating hitters with his elite control, nasty movement, and ability to escape difficult situations. But this version of Fried looked uncomfortable almost immediately. Over the first 3 innings, the Orioles collected 5 hits against him, drew a walk, and scored 3 runs. While those numbers alone were not completely disastrous, the bigger concern was how Fried looked physically. He was not generating the same dominance fans had become used to seeing this season. The strikeouts were not there either, as he managed only 2 punch-outs during his outing. Even the television broadcast started noticing that something felt unusual about his performance. Every pitch seemed to require more effort, and the overall rhythm simply did not resemble the Max Fried who had been dominating hitters all season long. Still, despite the shaky outing, nobody expected what happened next. After finishing the 3rd inning, Fried walked directly down the tunnel toward the clubhouse instead of returning to the dugout. That immediately raised concern inside Yankee Stadium and across social media. Fans watching the game instantly sensed something was wrong. The cameras quickly shifted toward the Yankees' bullpen, where right-hander Paul Blackburn had suddenly started warming up. That was the moment panic truly began spreading among the fan base because Fried had thrown only 61 pitches. For a workhorse starter like him, exiting after only 3 innings made absolutely no sense unless there was a physical issue involved. Moments later, the Yankees confirmed everyone's fears. The organization officially announced that Max Fried had exited the game with left elbow posterior soreness. Reports quickly followed stating that he would be examined by team physician Dr. Chris Ahmad and undergo imaging in New York the following day. The second those words became public, the entire mood surrounding the Yankees changed. Suddenly, fans were no longer focused on the game itself. Instead, everybody began asking the same terrifying question: how serious is this injury? The word elbow alone is enough to send fear through any baseball organization, especially when it involves a star pitcher. Across Major League Baseball, teams have seen countless elite arms lose significant time due to elbow problems. Some injuries end seasons, others require surgeries that keep pitchers out for more than a year. That reality is exactly why Yankees fans reacted so emotionally the moment Fried left the game. This is not just another pitcher, this is the ace of the rotation. This is the man the Yankees invested over $200 million in to help bring a championship back to New York. And the timing makes the situation even more concerning. The Yankees have already been dealing with uncertainty in their pitching staff. Injuries forced the team to rely heavily on Fried earlier than expected. With Jarrett Cole and Carlos Rodon both spending time on the injured list, Fried became the stabilizing force holding everything together. He was not just pitching well, he was carrying enormous responsibility every single week. Through his first 9 starts of the season, Fried posted a 2.91 ERA with a 4-2 record and 48 strikeouts across 58 2/3 innings. Even more impressive, he had thrown more innings than any pitcher in baseball entering Wednesday's start. That workload shows just how valuable he has been for the Yankees. Every elite team needs a stopper, the pitcher who can end losing streaks, dominate big games, and set the tone for the entire rotation. Fried had become exactly that for New York. When the Yankees needed momentum, he delivered. When pressure increased, he responded. And perhaps most importantly, he brought postseason caliber experience into a rotation dealing with uncertainty. This is a pitcher who already knows what it takes to win at the highest level. He helped the Atlanta Braves capture the 2021 World Series and established himself over the years as one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. That experience is part of what made the Yankees pursue him so aggressively during the offseason. They were not simply adding talent, they were adding leadership, toughness, and proven championship pedigree. Fried's arrival immediately changed the identity of the rotation. Opposing teams respected him, Yankees fans trusted him, analysts praised the move as one of the biggest offseason additions in baseball. Now, all of that momentum suddenly feels uncertain. The good news for the Yankees is that Fried himself attempted to calm fears after the game. Speaking with reporters, the left-hander downplayed the severity of the issue and expressed hope that he could make his next scheduled start. He admitted there was discomfort but did not sound overly alarmed about a long-term absence. Naturally, Yankees fans are hoping those comments prove accurate because the alternative could dramatically impact the season. Still, baseball history has taught fans to be cautious whenever pitchers mention elbow soreness. Teams today take these situations extremely seriously, especially when dealing with expensive franchise players. Even if Fried feels optimistic, the Yankees are almost certainly going to prioritize caution above everything else. They know the bigger picture matters more than one start in May. If there is any risk of worsening the injury, the organization will likely shut him down temporarily to protect both the player and the team's championship hopes. That creates a difficult balancing act for the Yankees front office and coaching staff. On one hand, the team has enough pitching depth to survive a short absence. They can move pieces around, rely on other starters, and potentially call up reinforcements if necessary. The Yankees are not completely helpless without Fried for a few starts. However, surviving temporarily and replacing an ace are two completely different things. There is simply no true replacement for a pitcher performing at Fried's level. The psychological effect matters too. When an ace goes down, the pressure on the rest of the roster immediately increases. Other pitchers start feeling the need to do more. The bullpen becomes more important. The offense feels pressure to score additional runs. Suddenly, every weakness on the roster becomes magnified. That is why losing a pitcher like Fried could create a ripple effect throughout the organization if the injury turns out to be serious. The Yankees also understand how important health will be during the second half of the season. Their ultimate goal is not merely reaching the playoffs. This franchise expects championships. Every move they made during the offseason reflected that mentality. Fried was supposed to be one of the key weapons leading that October push. Without him at full strength, the road becomes significantly more difficult. Meanwhile, rival teams around baseball are watching this situation very closely. The Yankees have been building serious momentum recently, and many analysts believe they were starting to look like one of the most dangerous teams in the American League. Fried's dominance was a major reason for that growing confidence. Opposing teams knew that facing the Yankees' rotation became far more difficult once Fried entered the picture. If he misses extended time, the balance of power in the league could shift dramatically. That is why Thursday's imaging results suddenly feel so massive. One medical update could completely change the outlook of the Yankees season. Best case scenario, the soreness turns out to be minor inflammation or fatigue, allowing Fried to return quickly after brief rest. Worst case scenario, the imaging reveals structural damage that could sideline him for months. Right now, the organization and fan base are trapped in that uncomfortable waiting period where uncertainty becomes the biggest enemy. For Yankees fans, the emotions surrounding this situation are understandable. After years of dealing with injuries to key stars, every health scare now feels amplified. The franchise has repeatedly watched promising seasons get disrupted by injuries at the worst possible moments. That history makes fans nervous anytime an important player heads toward the clubhouse unexpectedly. Still, there is reason for cautious optimism. Fried did not appear devastated after the game. The Yankees have one of the best medical staffs in baseball, and modern teams are far more proactive about addressing soreness before it becomes catastrophic. In some cases, early caution actually prevents larger injuries from developing later. The Yankees are undoubtedly hoping this situation falls into that category. At the same time, nobody can deny the seriousness of the moment. The Yankees built part of their championship dreams around Max Fried dominating in big games. They envisioned him leading playoff rotations, silencing elite lineups, and delivering October memories in the Bronx. That vision has not disappeared yet, but it suddenly feels far more fragile than it did only 24 hours ago. Now the baseball world waits. Fans are refreshing social media for updates. Analysts are debating possible outcomes. Yankees executives are preparing contingency plans behind the scenes, and somewhere in New York, one of baseball's best pitchers is preparing for the most important imaging test of the Yankees season so far. Because depending on those results, this injury scare could either become a minor speed bump or the beginning of a major crisis for the New York Yankees.